I'm hoping that this course that we've done together, I can't believe it, this is our last installment, has given you some tools and some techniques to work with the inevitability of aging. Uh, but as inevitable as aging may be, having to slow down a lot and restrict your activities a lot is probably something we can delay, perhaps for quite some time. So I want to spend the outset here recapping some of the content that we did that was sort of extracurricular with regards to the Pilates. And then the similar format that we've done in prior sessions is to then go through the techniques of some of the exercises, keep building upon what we've been doing, take a little bit of time for questions, and then end with running through the whole routine, start to finish. So that's the roadmap for today. Big picture, what are some of the ideas? Well, one of the main ideas is about movement patterns. And pretty much all of us are going to have some movement patterns that are really effective. They work great. And other movement patterns that maybe don't work so well. And those movement patterns that don't work so well are very often compensatory. So, for example, maybe you hurt your ankle or your foot, you maybe stepped on a nail. And the brilliance of your body is you changed how you move to support the healing of that foot. The foot has healed, but the movement patterns persist. And as we get a few years under our belt, that becomes cumulative. So it may be a small shift in your movement patterning, it may be a small compensatory pattern, but if you accumulate a small thing over many years, it becomes a big thing. And so a lot of us are living with the legacies of injuries that maybe happened 10, 15, even 20 or more years ago. We have some compensations that arose from a prior injury. That injury is in our history, but we still have the movement patterns persisting. And this really holds true with the knees, that I see so many people that they are favoring one knee because that knee at one time had been injured. The knee may be fine, but the compensation pattern lingers, which causes a whole host of problems. One of the main problems that causes is then that leg atrophies. The muscles get smaller. And muscle mass is one of the other main themes that's so essential for old jocks, whether it's trashed knees or trashed hips or what have you. One of the best things you can do for your overall well-being is to preserve your muscle mass as best you can. And that's a big ask because we have age-related declines in muscle mass that are normal and natural. And so we have to be proactive as we get older to maintain the muscle mass we've got, and ideally to regain some that we probably have already lost. And so we were taking a look at movement patterns and muscle mass. And one of the ways we explored it is rather than needing to go out and buy special equipment or get a membership at a gym, that there is no substitute for climbing stairs. Stairs are really great exercise. And to pay attention as you go up the stairs. And especially to pay attention as you go down the stairs to your alignment. And that's going to help reveal any anomalies in your movement patterns. How does your knee track? What does your torso do? Do you spend more time on one leg and less time on the other leg? And use going upstairs and use going downstairs to study your movement patterns. And then do it a lot, as much as you can, to continue working on your muscle mass. What we oftentimes do is, whether consciously or unconsciously, is we restrict how much we go up and down stairs. I invite you in the coming weeks is to study as you go about your day, observing, do you avoid going up the stairs? Do you avoid going down the stairs? True confession, I do. I've noticed that I'll sometimes stack things at the top of the staircase for when I take my next trip down the staircase. Or I'm thinking about I should do the laundry, but then I think, well, that's 2 floors down. I'll do it later. And I'm avoiding the physical activity that's baked into my day. And I've been working on it, this is a work in progress. Whenever I have an opportunity to go up or downstairs, I avail myself of that opportunity. If I forgot a paper clip in the basement, I'm going to go run and go get that paper clip because it's a chance to go down and up 2 flights of stairs. I'm thinking about doing laundry, I don't put it off. It's another chance to go up and down the stairs. Instead of stacking the thing at the top of the stairs to take on my next trip down, I make a special trip down and then back up because it keeps my house from getting cluttered. And it's an opportunity to get more activity that builds muscle and allows me to study my movement patterns. Related to compensatory patterns is it's not uncommon that we have some discomfort in the knees. Now, I'm not talking about pain, like where there's a tear going down your cheek. Of course, we don't want to do that. But sometimes, especially as we get older, we let a little bit of discomfort dissuade us from moving. A little bit of discomfort dissuade us from realigning or working with our alignment. For better or worse, a little bit of pain, especially when we're get a few years under our belts, a few miles on the odometer, is kind of inevitable. And so a little bit of discomfort may be part of the process, as long as it's not full-on pain. The other theme, Pilates for old jocks, trash knees, is the importance of having a really strong midsection. If your core isn't strong, your alignment's going to be off. If your core isn't strong, your movements may have extraneous inefficiencies. And so a lot of what we've done is about getting that core strength to support healthy extremities, hips, knees, ankles, shoulders, elbows, wrists. The core is at the core of all of it. Then our last theme has been to work on the coronal plane or the frontal plane. Almost all of us in our activities are really good at moving in the sagittal plane. Running is in the sagittal plane. Biking is in the sagittal plane. Nordic skiing is more or less in the sagittal plane, especially classic stride. So we're really well developed in the front back movements. We tend to be pretty well developed in the fronts of the thighs and the backs of the thighs. But as we get older, we tend to lose track on the sides of the legs, the abductors, and the insides of the legs, the adductors. And that's been a big theme in this session, is working on those abductors and adductors to get the strength to support circumferentially around your knee joints. So these are the main takeaways that I'd like us to come away from this class, is take a look at your movement patterns, your muscle mass. Work with sensation. I don't want to advocate that you have to work through pain, but to become a student of sensation. Strong core, no substitute for having the power originate from the core of your body and then extend out through your extremities. And then last but not least, to develop your coronal plane and not just continue working in the sagittal plane. So, any comments, questions? We'll take a little bit of time midway through. I know there are a few questions have come in already, and so if you have them, please put them in the parking lot for us to address a little bit later. All right, so I'm going to work through the exercises pretty briefly, some of them, and go a little bit more in depth in a handful of them. 100. We've talked about this now a couple different ways. So if you recall, there's neutral spine, where there's a little bit of airspace between your low back and the floor. And then we also have imprint, where you actually press your lower back into the floor. Now, if there's not lower back discomfort, then I'm a big fan of neutral spine. But if you have history with your lower back, if some of these exercises, your lower back feels tender, then I suggest imprint. Press your lower back into the floor. And doing so without tensing your tailbone. Then lift one leg up, lift the other leg up. And to bring your legs into Pilates V position, start by taking your knees apart, touch your heels together, And then keep that external rotation, heels touching, as you take your feet up. Now the last step is a key step. Maybe you can see my feet right here. They're dorsiflexed. I'm pointing my heels. To get the work more focused in your abdominals, plantar flex your feet, point your toes. And that Pilates V position is a little trick to get the work out of your hip flexors and where it's more beneficial into your abdominals. If you want more challenge, you can lower your legs more to the floor. So whether legs way up high or way down low, now let's turn our attention to the upper body. Interlace your hands, bring your hands behind your head, and then lift your head, and then continue lifting your head and lift your shoulders. And look into your abdomen. Sometimes when people hear the instruction the instruction is to lengthen your neck, keep your neck long, they end up looking at the ceiling. So make sure there's a harmonious flexion in your spine so that as your shoulders lift up, you look right into your abdomen. And we're going to hold here for a few more breaths. You could have no arms pumping. You could have one arm pumping or two arms pumping. And you may ask yourself, what's the sound of one arm pumping? I'll leave the philosophers to figure that one out. So let's take a few more breaths here. So breathing's a really key part of Pilates for anybody. Deep inhale, full exhale, and then come on down. Alrighty, now everybody's favorite, the roll up. Let's come on up to sitting. Roll up is hard, and it is for so many people. Maybe not you, but for so many people it's really hard. So it can be really good to start with the roll down. So let's start off in seated nice and tall upright. And then bend your left knee. Catch behind that knee with your hands. And then we're going to use the strength of that leg to lower down slowly, as smoothly as you can. So tip your pelvis back to set your lower back down vertebra by vertebra. Then where lower back meets ribs, segment by segment. Then your upper back, segment by segment. Now your neck won't touch the floor, but continue that trajectory of mobilizing, articulating your neck vertebra. And then come up to sitting any old way, no style points whatsoever. Now let's try the other leg. Left leg outstretched, right knee bent. Remember our trick. If there was sort of a clunk going back, if you felt like you should maybe be wearing a helmet, have your elbows straighter. And then rolling down. So first step is pelvis tips back. That's called the posterior pelvic tilt, allowing you to set your lower back down. See if you can feel segment by segment. Then mobilizing thoracolumbar junction, mobilizing thoracic spine, then neck, then your head comes down. Let's come back up to sitting any old way, no style points whatsoever. But this is another way, if you find the roll up super challenging, practice roll down. Let's do the left leg again. Roll down. Now, if this is coming relatively straightforwardly for you, you could explore rolling up. And if the roll up is remaining perniciously frustrating, then forget about roll up and work with roll down as you build the strength, as you build the spine mobility. Second side, roll down. All right. So hopefully that gives you a few more tools in your toolkit if the roll up, roll down has been historically challenging for you. And then we move into the tree. And the tree is even harder for most people. And one of the reasons I included it is that it's so good for mobility, in addition to how it works with core strength and creating more mobility, freedom of movement in the spine. So you can do it straight leg, climb up the tree and down the tree. And if that's frustrating, isn't coming so well for you, what we did in the roll down, you can repeat that right here because we'll have other opportunities to work with the mobility of the leg. So let's go ahead and switch legs. Those of you who are working with the tree, inhale, exhale, roll up, climb up the tree, sitting way tall. And then inhale, exhale, roll down. And then when we go through, we'll be working with a flexion extension in the ankle. That's one of the really great benefits of working with the tree. And we'll see that a little bit later on in some of the other exercises as well. So after tree, then we go into the stomach series. In the stomach series, I imprint. I find that my lower back, if I keep the neutral lumbar, when I stretch my legs out, it's just a little bit too much for my lower back. So it may be fine for you, but just to validate that keeping the spine imprinted is always a really useful trajectory. And so we do the single leg stretch, if you recall. Keep breathing. And then the double leg stretch. And I love the double leg stretch because it's practice in using your midsection to support your extremities. All four of them. Inhale, outstretch, supporting your extremities from your core. Exhale, pull them all in. Inhale, exhale. One more. And back to upper body mini crunch. Lower body up. Pilates V. Pilates V is a really effective way to get into your core and out of the habit of tensing your lower back and hip flexors. And then we inhale down. Inhale's hard here. Exhale up. But there's utility to bring air in as you lower your legs down because it helps open up your rib cage. Free up your breathing. Two more. Last one, Pilates V. Then the single leg stretch. It's basically what the lower body does. And then keep your neck out of it. Lift the shoulder blade to bring elbow toward knee. And then switch. Lift your shoulder blade. One more each side. Keep breathing. And the famous expression coined by my old friend Linda, that's enough of that. All right, side kicks. Side kicks are a really big part of this program. For the reason I mentioned earlier, is that us old jocks tend to be really well developed in movements forward and not as well developed in movements side to side. So we begin, I'll be on my right side, you on your left side. Lifting your upper leg up, plantar flexing that foot, point your toes, and then inhale forward, touch your hamstring flexibility, exhale back, touch your iliopsoas flexibility. Inhale forward, Exhale, back up. Couple more. So I really like this one because it's working in the sagittal plane. Of course, we want to have supple hamstrings and tease apart tension and shortness in the iliopsoas. And for no additional charge, we're working the abductors. Then here's where it gets interesting. Keep that leg hovering. Turn out from the hip socket. Now, if we just did this right here, this is a pretty useful exercise. A lot of people are weak in these muscles. But wait, there's more. Lift that leg up and point your heel, lower it down. Point your toes up, point your heel down. Now we're going to switch it up. Point your heel up, point your toes down. And let's leave it at that. Release the external rotation. Little circles, about the size of a saucer. So someone is serving you high tea. The teacup is served on a saucer. Saucer-sized circles. 8 one direction, 8 the other direction. I know about you, but I feel a little bit of a burn when I do this. Then we're going to stretch those muscles out that we just worked. We're going to bring the foot in. Ideally, reach behind your ankle. Reach behind your Achilles to catch your ankle. Then we're going to lift the lower leg. Inhale. Exhale, keeping that length the whole time. Do 8 of those. And then once again, saucer-sized circles. Say that 10 times quickly. And make sure it's saucer-shaped and not just saucer-sized. That very often this leg here creates triangle shapes, parallelogram shapes, because some of the muscle fibers are out to lunch. So focus on little circles in the shape of circles. 8 one direction, 8 the other direction. Then lower your lower leg, release your upper leg, and then we go into bicycle. So for a moment here, you don't have to. I will for demonstration. I'm going to flip on my back. And if you recall in bicycle, a significant part is what you do in your ankle. Plantar flex, dorsiflex, plantar flex, dorsiflex. And that's going to be important in the bicycle. And especially important in over the rainbow that follows the bicycle. So let's start off. Shoulder on top of shoulder, hip on top of hip. Lift your upper leg up. Plantar flex that foot, point your toes. And then take your leg back behind you as you bend your knee. I feel that in my quadricep muscle. Then bring that leg forward. Straighten your knee, point your heel, dorsiflex. Then go back. As you go back, point your toes, plantar flex. Bend your knee. Hello, quadriceps. Then forward. Dorsiflex. Point your heel. Hello, hamstrings. Back. Point your toes. Forward. Point your heel. Now let's shift it around. Come forward first. Point your heel. Go backward. Point your toes. Forward. Point your heel. Back. Point your toes. Forward. And back. All right, and rest that upper leg. All right, so we're going to do some bicycles when we go through the whole routine. And today we're going to revisit the over the rainbow. So much bang for the buck in terms of knees, but really whole body. So if you recall, upper leg was lifted. We were dorsiflexed, heel pointed, and then from the hip externally rotate. Tap the heel on the ground in front of you. Then we're going to go up. And as you go up, point your toes, turn your leg internally, and touch your big toe behind you. I feel that stretch deep in my iliopsoas muscle. Then forward, exo rotation, point your heel. Up, point your toes, internal rotation. All right, so we're going to do 3 of those. What we're going to add in today is the opposite. The same basic idea, but a little shift in what we do with the foot. So if you recall, we had the foot in dorsiflexion when it was in front. This time, we're going to have the foot in plantar flexion, slightly different muscles. Then as you go up and over, leg still turns in and go into that dorsiflex. And up, over, plantar flex. Up, over, dorsiflex. We'll come back to that one. I find I get really fatigued when I do these because these are parts of my body that tend to get kind of forgotten. And if I forget to do my Pilates, my knees tell me about it. And if I keep up with these exercises and keep up with Pilates, my knees are pretty cooperative in whatever it is I want to do. So double leg lower lift, pretty small movement up and down. You maybe notice that I'm not doing this on a yoga mat. Yoga mats are too thin. You don't have to have a special Pilates mat like I'm using right here. It's much thicker. But if you are going to use a yoga mat, I'd use at least 2 double thickness, if not triple thickness. Otherwise, there's just a lot of pressure on the hip. All right, let's head over to the other side. So this side leg series is the bread and vegetable spread. That's the vegan butter, bread and butter of this program. Work the outsides, work the insides of your leg. So let's run through briefly. Upper leg lifts, plantar flex, point your toes. Keep your toes pointed as you go forward. Keep your toes pointed as you go back. And this is so good for hip mobility and to initiate the process of strengthening your abductor muscles, muscles that are essential for supporting healthy alignment and tracking of your knees. So we're going to do a number of those front and back. Then we're going to build muscle endurance by not resting. Go immediately to exo rotation, up, then go to heel, point down, toes point up, point your heel down, then keep your heel pointed. We're going to change it up. Heel points up, toes point down, up, and down. We'll do a handful of those. Then release the external rotation. Saucer-sized and shaped circles. 8 one direction, 8 the other direction. I don't know about you, but I tend to feel that out here. So we're going to lengthen those muscles. Bring your leg in. If possible, reach behind your Achilles to catch your ankle. Then we're going to work on the adductor muscles. Lift and lower and lift and lower. We're going to do 8 of those. And after the 8th one, then we're going to do saucer-sized and shaped circles with the lower leg. Very functional way to work your adductor muscles. Functional strength. Not just the strength that looks good or is done on a machine in the gym. The kind of strength that directly supports being active. So then after doing those circles, release your upper leg, bicycle. So a rule of thumb is when the leg is behind you, knee is bent. What's the foot shape? Is the foot in plantar flexion or dorsiflexion? Plantar flexion, point your toes. Then when your leg comes forward, is it point your toes or point your heel? Point your heel, isn't it? So there's this fluid movement. I sometimes think of it like I'm pawing with my foot in the air. And like so many things in Pilates, then we switch up the direction because it works the muscle slightly differently whether you go forward or back. When I first started learning this, my knee clicked and my legs got stronger, my knees became better aligned, and I don't have that same clicking anymore. All right, then we'll do some bicycles. Over the rainbow. Over the rainbow is hard physically, and also it has a lot of moving parts. So let's do the first version, what we did last week first. So leg in front of you, touch your heel, leg externally rotated. Then as it comes up and over, there's a shift in the rotation and a shift in your foot. Touch your big toe on the ground behind you. And up and over the rainbow, touch your heel. Up and over the rainbow, touch your toe. Now we're going to shift it up. Keep your toes pointed. Keep in plantar flexion as you come up and over. So you're still going to touch your heel, but now your toes are pointed. Then up and over. Now you're still going to touch your big toe, but now you're in dorsiflexion. Up and over and back to where you were. So after we do over the rainbow and then we do the double leg lower lift, nice to have a little bit of extra padding. And we'll do a few of those. All right, last few I'm going to run through pretty quickly because I think they're pretty familiar for a lot of you. We did the shoulder bridge. Everybody imprint and enhance or accelerate that imprint movement as you lift up. And as you come down, we'll do a handful of these. And then we'll come on to our bellies to do the swimming. I'll walk you through step by step on that. And then we'll come up on our feet to do the standing foot. Excuse me. So that's going to be our routine. And I want to make sure we have plenty of time to go through it leisurely and also plenty of time for any questions. So, yeah, so the question is Pilates V unique to the 100 or is it found in other exercises in Pilates? And the brief answer is the latter. We use it in a number of different exercises. It's a really effective technique to get the work into the abdomen and get it out of other extraneous compensatory patterns. And so the legs externally rotated, the feet pointed is going to be present in the 100. It can be present in the double leg lower lift. And it's going to be present when we do the standing footwork toward the end of the routine. So there are some exercises where the legs are parallel, where we're lowering the legs up and down. But for this conversation, let's have that Pilates V in the double leg lower lift. Great question. Yeah. So in the side leg series, I think a Pilates mat is kind of indispensable and pretty bony out here. And so if I didn't have the special thick Pilates mat that I'm using, I'd use probably triple thickness yoga mat to help cushion here. That kind of pressure on the greater trochanter, use whatever padding you need to make that more comfortable. Mm. Yeah, so it's a question that we'll find coming up in the tree and also in the roll up and the roll down about having spots that get kind of sticky or kind of stuck. And a really common place where not just old jocks, but really older human beings tend to get kind of sticky and stuck is in the thoracolumbar junction. That's where your lower back meets your rib cage, all the way up to the lower part of the shoulder blade. It tends to get really stiff as people get older. And so one of the cues that I like to use quite a bit, whether it's in the roll up or whether it's in the tree, is that of come up and over your lower ribs. So let's say I'm working on rolling up. I'll think about keeping my lower ribs down as long as I can and come up and over those lower ribs. Because a lot of times what people are running into is restrictions in the spine. So if you remember in the roll up, roll down in the tree, it has this two realms of benefits. Strengthens the core. By strengthening the core, you mobilize your spine. By mobilizing your spine, you're more able to access strengthening your core. There's a synergy there. And so whenever you may feel sort of that sticky stuck and coming up, then the cue come up and over your lower ribs can help get past that. Uh, how should the spine be in the roll up? Neutral or imprinted? Imprinted for sure. And so, as part of coming up, we're looking to mobilize the spine. We're looking to keep the lower ribs down, which means that that lower back is going to be in flexion. Good question. Definitely imprinted. That's it. That was wonderful. Thank you for bringing these questions up. So, what do you say we go through a routine? And this is going to be, of course, recorded for your later consumption. And we're going to go through the full complement of repetitions. So, the expectation is that you're going to get kind of tired. And truth in advertising, full disclosure, I get tired too doing these. And so I might be smiling and talking, but believe you me, I'm feeling a lot of these exercises as we're doing them. So if you feel like they're kind of hard and you get a little tired doing them, you'll be in good company. Should we do it? Let's do it. 100. So neutral spine or imprint, your choice. Place your legs in Pilates V. And then dial in the amount of challenge that feels right to you. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And then I like to come into the 100 via the mini crunch. And then 10 breaths here. Your choice, 0 hands pumping, 2 hands pumping, or 1 hand pumping. Good. If you're doing one arm pumping, now switch to the other arm. So however many arms you're pumping, look into your abdomen. One more breath cycle. And then come on down. Alrighty, so we're going to do 8 roll somethings. Could be roll down, could be roll up, roll down, could be 1 legs, 2 legs, no legs. So whatever you're doing, it's a full breath cycle to come up and to come down. Inhale, exhale down. 8 in total. So it tends to strengthen your abdomen and immobilize your spine. Stronger abdominals, more spine mobility. More spine mobility, easier to access your abdominals. Could be 2 legs. Arms can assist. Could be 2 legs without arm assist, or using 1 leg at a time to assist. Then the tree. Inhale, exhale, up, climb up. A little bit different than the roll up. Come all the way up to sitting. And then inhale, exhale. Start by tipping your pelvis back. Climb up the tree. Climb down the tree. The next time you come up, sit up tall. Straighten your knee. Then inhale, dorsiflex. Exhale, plantar flex. One more. Inhale, exhale down. And switch legs, climb the other tree. So once again, a chance to mobilize your spine. Supple spine supports whole body well-being. And what is it that mobilizes the spine? It's your abdominal. Up and over your lower ribs. Mobilize those places that may be sticky or restricted. And this one here, sit up tall. Straighten your knee. Then inhale, dorsiflex. Exhale, plantar flex. Of course, I'm talking about the foot that you can see. So take a peek at that foot. Watch it move. One more. Then inhale, exhale, climb down the tree. All right, then the upper body is in mini crunch or 100 shape. Remember, you can use 1 or 2 arms to support if this is hard on your neck. 1 leg outstretched, 1 leg in, hand to knee, hand to ankle, and then we're going to switch. Inhale, exhale, switch, 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 switch. One more cycle. Alrighty, and the double leg. 5 in total. One more. And double leg lower lift. Support the weight of your head with your hands. Then inhale, lower down without your lower back arching excessively. Exhale up. Now, if your lower back is painful, imprint your lower back. Press it to the floor. It's pretty easy to do when your legs are up. It gets progressively harder as you lower your legs down. That's where you challenge your abdominals. A few more, 5 in total. I lost count. I think that's 5. Then we go right into the crisscross, the grand finale. Remember, it's about lifting your shoulder to bring the elbow across. Twist, twist, deep breathing. Very similar to the single leg stretch. And then come on down. All right, side leg surgery. Let's start on your right side. I'm on my left, a mirror image, you all on your right. Arms, shoulder, torso, pelvis on the back of your mat, and your feet toward the front of your mat. And pick that upper leg up, plantar flex your foot, then inhale forward, exhale back, forward, back, eight in total. Then keep that leg lifted from your hip socket. Turn out. Keep that external rotation. Inhale, leg up. Point your heel, exhale down. Point your toes, inhale up. Point your heel, exhale down. One more this direction. Now keep your heel pointed, go up. And point your toes, come down. Point your heel up. Point your toes down. One more this direction. Then release the external rotation. Remember, the breathing pattern is 2 full breath cycles for 8 rotations each direction. Then 8 circles the other direction. All right. Then reach behind your Achilles to catch your ankle. Point your lower leg foot. Inhale, lift it. Exhale, lower. Keep that length. Inhale. Exhale, working your adductor muscles. Not just old jocks that tend to lose their muscle in their inner thighs. Happens to a lot of people. So this is a wonderful exercise to help support healthy, happy knees. Couple more. Then 8 saucer-sized shaped circles each direction. And the other direction. Lower that leg, release the upper leg. Then the bicycle, we're going to do 3 each direction. Let's start by bringing the leg in front. Remember, it's when your heel points. Exhale back behind you. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Forward. Remember, it's your heel points forward. And then your toes point back. Now let's reverse it. Keep your toes pointed, go back. Stretch out your quads. Forward, point your heel. Point your toes back. Point your heel forward. One more this direction. All right, then over the rainbow. Externally rotate, point your heel, touch in front. Inhale, exhale, up and over. Point your toes, rotate your leg in. Inhale, exhale over the rainbow. Inhale, exhale over the rainbow. One more front and back. Now keep your toes pointed, up and over. Touch your heel. Inhale, exhale. Now point your heel, rotate in. Ooh, that's a hard one. One more. All right, I'm feeling the burn. I don't know about you. I'm going to finish up here with double leg. It's not a big movement, remember. Point both feet, plantar flexion. Inhale, exhale, lift both legs. Two more. All right, second side. This was 1980s aerobics. Right now, I think I'd say woohoo and enthusiastically say feel the burn. In moderation, a little burn can be a good thing to feel. So front and back. How many repetitions of this? 8, correct. Inhale, exhale. 1. Now, especially as you take the leg back behind you, be mindful that your back doesn't arch. Round in the bend. Couple more. Good for your abductors. Good for your hip mobility. Then, like the turbocharged clamshell exercise, turn your leg out, inhale up, then point your heel, exhale down. Point your toes up, point your heel down. One more this direction. Now change it up. Point your heel as you go up. Point your toes as you come down. One more. Then release that external rotation. 8 circles. And the other direction. 2 circles on the in-breath. 2 circles on the out-breath. All right. Then reach behind, catch that ankle. Lower leg, inhale up, exhale down. Three more. Keep stretching out through your toes. 8 circles the first direction. 8 the other direction. And lower the lower leg. Release the upper leg. And let's go for the strangest bicycle ride ever. Let's start by going in front. Remember, it's your heel points forward. Then toes point, bend your knee, take your leg back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. One more this direction. Then let's mix it up. Keep your toes pointed, go back first. Forward. Back. Forward. Back. Forward. And keep your heel pointed, dorsiflex. Touch your heel in front. Inhale, exhale, touch your big toe back. One more back to front. This time when you come forward, keep your toes pointed. Still touching your heel. Then inhale, exhale, go to dorsiflex. Touch your big toe. Ooh, I feel the burn here. How about you? Inhale. Exhale in front. Inhale, exhale. Behind. I don't know about you, my leg's getting heavier. Last one. Ooh, that leg got heavy. All right, now both legs, lower lift. Inhale. Exhale. 8 of these. Keep the length. All right, the pinnacle. Now let's roll onto our backs. Hard part's behind you. And let's do 3 shoulder bridges. So a chance to mobilize your spine, a chance to strengthen your abdominals, and a chance to stretch out your quads. Inhale, exhale up. Inhale, exhale down. Up and down. One more, last one. Keep that posterior tilt in your pelvis. Nice chance to mobilize your spine, strengthen your abdominals. Onto your belly. And onto your belly, remember we're working on contralateral coordination. Coordination that supports healthy gait, both walking and running. So just a little bit of lift. Those of you who've done yoga, it's a based on locust position. And then left arm, right leg in unison go up, in unison come down, right arm, left leg in unison go up, in unison and come down. And you can speed that up if you want. Keep breathing. And sometimes it can be fun to set up a little bit of a swimming kind of movement. I'm going to choose to go slower because whenever I speed it up, I lose the contralateral coordination. Couple more. All right. Then come on up on your feet. Go up on your feet. So here's another exercise in Pilates V. Hands can be on your hips, or you can hug a tree. Both have benefits. So feet a little bit turned out, externally rotated near hips, heels touching. Heels touching is the really important part. Inhale, bend your knees. Exhale, lift your heels. Keep your heels lifted. Inhale, straighten your knees. Exhale, lower your heels. We're going to do two more like that. Your heels touching. I find this part of my body, the lowering the heels, it's hard to keep my heels touching. So now the other direction. Knees straight, heels touching. Lift your heels. Keep your heels touching lifted. Bend your knees. Lower your heels. Straighten your knees. I find lifting the heels, keeping them touching, this one's really hard. Inhale, lift, keep them touching. Bend your knees. One more. All right. That's our routine. So really glad you could join us. You should have gotten an email already. We have a few specials going on, our 2-week introductory online special available to you. And then also we have some packages available to facilitate trying out some in-person one-on-one sessions. And they don't necessarily have to be in person. You can do them online. And there's just no substitute for working with somebody individually to come up with what your strengths may be, what your weaknesses may be, and how to work with them, and how to keep these high mileage, well loved, well used bodies moving for the long haul. So really appreciate that you took the time out of your schedules to be with me here with us over these past 5 weeks. And let's do something like this again really soon. Any comments, any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat, and we will see you in the future. Bye-bye. 2 questions already. Let's take them since we're live. Any hints for feet that cramp when they're pointed? This may sound like a joke, but actually bananas or a source of potassium is the best remedy that I know of. That and making sure that you're fully hydrated. And if more potassium and hydration doesn't do the trick, then not pointing your feet quite so hard. And I do work with some people that they scarcely point their feet at all because of that dreaded foot cramp. So you will be in good company. But yeah, please give bananas a shot. It's kind of amazing that potassium can sometimes really help with cramping of any sort. Aspiring to get legs straight in Pilates V, in a sense, yes. I don't push it really hard, as you've probably seen, because in my body, if I focus on straightening my knees in Pilates V, I often grab in my hip flexors. And so I'm working toward straight legs, but not holding that as a hard, fast goal. And so we're taking a look at form or quality trumping quantity. Yeah, great question. Looks like another. That's it. All right. Thanks so much. Let's do it again soon.